welcome everybody to Morning Coins with John and Chaz. This
Good
is.
morning.
How are you, Chaz?
Doing awfully good.
Good, awfully good.
Yeah,
All right.
excellently.
What's
I
that?
don't know, those words don't go together, do they? Awfully and good.
That's fine. That's fine. I was gonna ask you what was awfully about it. Like it had to be some extra emphasis today for a nice Monday. It's nice out here.
Yeah, well, let me show you here. I'm going to share my screen with you here just for a second.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll show you what I've been looking at.
That.
Uh,
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We're going to make this a larger picture here. Okay, so that's out the window that's right in front of me here.
Okay.
That's the Shiawassee River in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
and
you can see that from your upstairs area?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, I want to wake up with that view. Well, actually, I got a pretty good view that I wake up with. It looks like a ridge line. That's what I tell people.
Okay.
I call it my ridge line because the houses in the back are actually, you have to go downhill and across the way a little bit.
Right.
My wife says I'm very protective of my ridge line. I said, well, I let the old guy down the street. He came up when we first moved in and is like, hey, I just want you to, and he's a cancer survivor, and he's like, hey, I just want you to know that I do my walks in our backyards, and I would just like to go up and down the hill and stuff like that, and I go through the whole our side of the property, and I go out by the park. And he's like, is that okay? And I'm like, of course,
Yeah,
that's
man.
okay. I'm not gonna stop your routine. And then I think we were there for a year and a half, and we looked up. My wife was looking out having morning coffee, and she's like, "Is that our neighbor?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "He's doing his walk," and she's like, "What?" And she forgot that I had told her that he was gonna do that. So, Sean S. Porter, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching live. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Sean is a supporter of the show, and he is also a live streamer on here. He's going to do some live streaming of MMA events and things like that. So we're glad to have him. Yep, and he's showed up for a couple of my steaming pile simulcasts that we all do together. So I was sick as heck this last weekend, so I couldn't do it.
So is Sean a martial arts person?
I think he's an avid fan. I don't know if he is a fighter. We'll find out in a minute here.
Okay.
But all right, so let's kick it off. Why don't you go ahead and go through our disclaimer?
Okay.
We'll get that, and then that'll give me a chance to get some other stuff set up here. So I'll go ahead and get the slides back to the beginning.
So cryptocurrencies, futures, stocks, and options trading involve substantial risk of loss and are not suitable for every investor. The valuation of cryptocurrencies, futures, stocks, and options may fluctuate, and as a result, clients may lose more than their original investment. All investments discussed on this show are for informational purposes only and are not recommendations to buy or sell.
Awesome. Thanks, Charles.
You're welcome.
With that, we're going to get into our next slide, and that's today's links. As you all know, we are broadcasting live on DLive. We are part of the DLive 24-hour community, so we thank their support and their promotion of our streams. And in the description here and in the recorded version that goes up on YouTube, we provide the link to our slideshow. So all the information that you need is there. All you got to do is scroll down in the description and copy that link and head on over. You can also join us in there and look at the slides as we're going along. You can even skip ahead. We won't be skipping ahead. We're going to follow the slideshow as best I can, Charles. I know that sometimes
I know you like to mix things up a little, and that's great. I appreciate that.
So what do we got here? We have the Hedera white paper. We got some lessons. I know we're going to be talking about DAG extensively today. What is the BFT or the Byzantine fault? Is that a part of DAG or what's up with that?
It is an obstacle that the blockchain must overcome in order to be fault tolerant, and we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
about it. But I thought putting some links in there would help people to understand what it is and what makes DAG a little bit more safe than other blockchains.
And Gossip Protocol? Are both of
Yeah,
those also related to DAG?
yeah, it's a way you distribute information about blockchains, and
Perfect.
it's actually exactly what you would think it is. It's the way gossip starts. You tell one person, they tell two people, those two people tell two people, and so on.
So if you guys are watching out there, make sure you tell a couple people about Morning Coins,
Please
broadcasting
gossip
every
about
Monday
us.
morning. All right, well, let's hop right into it, man. Need a place to buy crypto? Click on one of those links below in your slideshow if you're not on Coinbase already. And select your favorite host, purchase $10 worth of digital tokens for your own, and Coinbase will send $10 to us and give you $10 in Bitcoin just for opening up an account and starting with them.
Yes.
So a DAG is a directed acrylic graph. That sounds something like I already wouldn't know anything about.
Yeah, it really, when I first read that, I was like, oh my God, what do I got to know about this? This doesn't even sound like blockchain. It sounds like something that,
You're like,
and
oh,
actually it exists in other types of industries, but this one, I'm going to get to the slide here. Hang on a second.
okay.
It's a graph or it's a structure. And we're going to see some pictures of this coming up, and they're connected to each other. And they say edges. It's like almost a terminology to make people confused, but when you see it, you'll understand it. And there are the directed or the connections between the nodes have a direction, which means they're not. And as the acrylic part explains, they're non-circular. So it doesn't come back to the beginning again, or it doesn't make a circle around back to the same node. And so it's like a one-shot deal. It hits that node and then moves on to the next thing. And really, that's what the gossip protocol sort of works on that. So a good example of directed acrylic graph is a tree. If you see the limbs shooting out and going up, and it's a picture of what an acrylic graph might look like in organic world.
Gotcha. So here's my thing though. When you use that example, I immediately think then, and it's kind of like Bitcoin too, is that we're still going to have to grow a forest, right?
Yes,
And you'll have
it.
trees that are bigger than others, and you'll have trees that are connected. You might have huge trees and pockets in some areas and none in others. So
Yes, and there's some
that?
interesting ideas and concepts coming that we're going to talk about, and the chainets are going to be up in arms maybe about some of this, but
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
we'll
because
see.
it is an idea that's in direct response or competition to blockchain technology, correct?
Yeah, it's in competition with it, but it takes parts of centralization and decentralization and sort of tries to blend them together.
Okay, so it could be a complement.
Right, it could be. I think it's the obvious evolution that's coming along. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
So I just went over to the next slide, which is it's titled "Not an Acrylic Graph."
yeah, and this is what a picture of something that is not an acrylic graph would look like. So it wouldn't cycle back to A. If you look at the bottom font or text there, it says A, B, C, and then back to A.
Right.
That's a cycle. Acrylic graphs don't have those cycles. They don't return back.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you can see. Oh, I accidentally went to the next slide. And you can see there that A goes to B, B goes to C, C goes to D, but then it does D go back to A. So what's the difference between that first one and the bottom?
Well, the acrylic graphs don't go back to A. So you would go A to B to C to D, and it would not return.
That looks like there's a return arrow from D to A.
Yeah, and that's a non-acrylic graph.
Okay.
That's why I put at the top, not an acrylic graph.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. So then is there an example? Okay, so the next one is an example of an acrylic graph.
Yes.
Ay, ay, ay. I'm sorry. Pretty good color commentator, terrible slide interpreter?
So here's the acrylic graph. Well, yeah, and of course it always helps to read the slides ahead of time. But
I did.
this is,
I actually changed a couple spelling errors on the title.
oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate that.
welcome. Anyway, this is an acrylic graph, you guys. I apologize.
This is an acrylic graph, and as you can see, that all the arrows point towards a unique letter. Nobody goes to the back to the same letter, or no letter returns back. So there's no cycle.
So
And this serves as an example of gossip protocol as well.
okay, all right.
You know, A hits B, B goes to C and D, you know, so there's a way that this saturates the blockchain through a gossip protocol.
So let's talk about this a second. Why is that approach different, or why is it important?
I think as we get down a little bit farther, we'll see that. But I would say one thing is speed. If you're not returning back, you're going forward and you speed up the process.
Okay.
And we'll see that their process is tremendously faster than what we're experiencing right now.
I think that's a big. I mean, processing speed is a big thing, and volume is it is a big thing, and that's where people are kind of fighting right now because everyone wants it to scale, right? And everyone wants it to grow, and we want to solve the world with all these problems and with all these great projects and or fix the world with all these fix our world's problems and all these great ideas, but there are scale and volume issues with running these transactions and having a more of a decentralized trading platform for this stuff. So, okay.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about why this is important, why DAG may be the next revolution in blockchain.
When?
It's already coming.
All right, so we are talking about it right now.
Yeah, it's existent now and being used, and it's growing.
Any other comments about acrylic graphs, the DAG protocol, or anything like that before we move?
We're going to the later slides. We're going to talk a little bit more about why it's important and what it does.
Okay, and is that you? And that's using.
They use Hedera uses
Hedera as an example.
Uses DAG on their platform.
Great. So the next slide, let's talk a little bit about G1NBC, Genesee County, Michigan.
Sure. We're a local community-based affiliate station, and what we do is we work with the communities. We're a community-based organization. We're not like the large, I'm not going to say we're not large, but we're not like the established media that has a giant headquarters in New York City and filters everything down. We get our hands dirty. We put our feet on the leather on the sidewalk, and we work with charities. We try to cover local issues. At the same time, we don't ignore national issues. And we have writers, and we're just reaching out to the community so that they have an outlet for them as well as us making contact with them and making progress as well.
Awesome.
But we advertise too.
Yes, we do. So, and we'll put we have our rate cards for our ads. I'm testing out a couple things, like a couple ideas. One is ads as art, ads as a creative art, and and ads as a community development tool. So just letting people know that when they take an ad out on any G1NBC site, at least one that I'm affiliated with, and I'm sure the ones that you're affiliated with, the content provider receives a portion of it, the sales department and team receives a portion of it. Some of it goes back to the local affiliate for hosting, and then a very small portion goes back to HQ for site maintenance, development, and like future server space and things like that for getting our work done. So
I agree. Yeah, we do. We do revenue sharing, so
yeah,
it's
and
not all about us.
right, and and the reason I've been doing the ads as art is we've sort of, I think we've lost our way with advertising and the power and potential for it. I think that if you have a creative in the community who is really good at art and design, then you support them to create an ad, and then you like, because our ad rates are not expensive for a business to take an ad rate out. It just it's different. It's different. It's a different experience. But if we start using it to help small businesses reconnect with their community and put out content that's more community based, then I think the the business can support the designer, but they can also get their work out there, and who knows, that designer might be able to create a campaign that isn't your standard campaign and get foot traffic in the door, or people to click the link and buy the stuff.
True, and yeah, you're right. We've art has gone out of the advertising industry, and I just some of the advertising I see are just is so bad.
Oh, it's
It's just
just, yeah, yeah. So
it is.
Sean's still here. He said he has done a little bit of MMA, mostly jiu-jitsu,
Okay,
and
so I'm anticipating here this summer taking up Hapkido, which is a martial arts, and we have a local training facility in Fenton, Michigan here that I think I might attend there.
okay. All right. Well, let's part of our aside from G1NBC. Let's go back and jump into Hedera, and this is going to be an application discussion around what we just learned about DAG, but also an introduction to what they're doing as a platform for Hashgraph. It looks like.
Yeah, and so here's what one of the questions you were asking about what's the purpose or what's the functionality of having DAG. Well, Hedera has achieved up to 100,000 transactions per second, which
Oh,
beats out Visa and MasterCard.
wow.
That, yeah, wow is right. Yeah. Uh, they support smart contracts.
Okay.
It can't be forked. So there's going to be no forks in this. It's, it is what it is. It's an open, now here's one of the things, it's an open source
Mm-hmm.
protocol, which means people, it has transparency, and that's what people are screaming about in a lot of different technologies and blockchains. I know that Ripple takes it on the chin for transparency a lot because they're just not saying enough.
Sure.
And
Sure.
but an open source software lets you see what's going on. And so you can, people who are other developers, and they claim to have 3,000 plus developers working on this project.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so people are looking at this, and if they see something funky in it, of course they're going to, bring it up and try to fix it. But people are looking. There's eyes on this thing, and they're seeing the actual inner workings of the software.
Right. I got it. So it's open source. That means it, like it says up there, it's a public ledger. 3,000 developers.
Yeah, that's what they claim.
Okay. And
I
then
haven't checked out all 3,000, but
the 4-piece up here, tech, security, stability, and governance, I'm sure that their site goes through all of that stuff.
yeah, yeah. And so this is part of their plan. If you look, though, there's a lot of blockchains that have all that. So you can see that the Hashgraph consensus is built on the internet, and the cryptocurrency is part of that, as well as file storage and I can't even say
Solidity.
Solidity. Thank you very much. Smart contracts. So that's the Hedera platform.
Gotcha. And if anyone out there that's watching, if you're familiar with DAG or with Hedera, please mention in the comments, or you guys can see up there that you can dial in anytime and hit that meeting ID 468-186-430 if you use those US numbers. And if you're international, you see the link that you can type in and join us. But anyone who's watching, you're welcome to come in, even if it's for 5-10 seconds, give us a cheerio or a cheers and have us come on in, then we'll do that. You're welcome to it. So cool. Let's go over to the next slide for
Yeah, and
Hedera.
I did talk about some of this already. 3,000 developers, I think, is where I left off. Anyone can have a node, so it's no one's blacked out of this. So people can jump in. But here's the thing that interested me: the split governance model. There's 39 organizations that will be announced soon that are going to be the actual validators. They're the ones that are going to validate the blocks.
Okay.
So, and they, of course, because what the indication is, and there is some concern about centralization, but because the software is open source, you can actually see what's going on.
Gotcha. So that's the key, though, right there. Is there's no mining. Oh man. Sorry, my phone is my phone's plugged in and charging through my laptop,
Okay.
and so like the screen keeps going black because it's showing up. Whatever. You guys don't have anything to worry about. But so there's 39 organizations that have a split governance model for this. So we're gonna I wonder if we'll see any heavy hitters from the crypto community in here, or who it's gonna look like. Because I'm sure that's how you're gonna get your 3,000 developers as well. It's these organizations that are partnering for this.
Yes. Yeah,
So they're kind of taking it and saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make all this open source. We're going to be able to do all these transactions. We support smart contracts, meaning maybe they're going to be supporting some stuff from Ethereum. Can't be forked.
Right.
And it's a BFT asynchronous, Byzantine fault tolerant. What about that?
Yeah, so we were going to talk about the Byzantine problem, and it's a story that people tell. But to put it as simply as I can, if you're trying to organize an attack on a group, the Byzantine general needs to coordinate his armies, and if he has more than one army, he has to send a message to the other army. But there's a chance that message may be intercepted and changed, or it may not get to the other army. And this is where the gossip protocol comes in, because if that message gets changed, let's say we're saying attack at 10 o'clock, and that message doesn't get to the other guy, and he sends a message back and says, I want to attack at 9, and neither one of them get that message because it's intercepted, that is the Byzantine problem. So the Hedera platform is Byzantine fault tolerant, and the links that I put up there will explain it in a little more detail.
On why it's tolerant, why it's a tolerant
yeah,
system.
Why it's a tolerant, and there's a link. Actually, there's a link right there in the slide to it as
Should
well.
I click on it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. This might mess up the view a little bit, guys, but we're gonna try it.
We're game.
So, understanding blockchain. This is from Medium. Let's see who it's. Georgios Konstantinopoulos. It looks like.
A Greek guy.
Konstantopoulos. Sorry that I added an extra N. 6-minute read. Understanding blockchain fundamentals, Byzantine fault tolerance. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. And did you check through this? Are there any highlights that we can go through with them, or?
It's. I can't remember exactly the article now, but because I put so many links on about it. It does go into a story though about what the Byzantine fault is.
Gotcha.
And it explains it a little bit.
Okay.
And, as long as we know that, have a basic understanding of that, and know that that's an important aspect of a platform, I think that's enough. Because if it is in fact Byzantine fault tolerant, then we know there's security there.
And that's what I mean. Is it looks like, and I'll be interested to see who the 39 organizations are, but it looks like these guys are figured out a lot of what is wrong, or some common faults of current cryptocurrencies are standalone, and has tried to solve that for this this iteration and for this platform, like you said.
They have speed. they have transparency, they have security,
Yeah.
and governance.
Okay. All right. So these guys, I would say these guys look like they might be, or this concept looks like it might be a mid-tier or something that could kind of go in there and disrupt if they did it right. So I would say let's just keep an eye on Hedera and the DAG protocol.
Right, and it's going to force other blockchains to make some changes.
Yeah, well, it'll also, it might also help just to kind of thin the herd,
Right.
to figure out who's for real, who's not, and how quick and nimble can you be as a development company or as a decentralized organization to amend
I
yourself
think,
to what's
yeah, I think
possible.
that what we're going to see is that, I don't know, what I remember from years back was when hard drives on computers got to a couple gigs or a couple hundred meg, 1,000 megs or less, they said, "Oh, that's it. You can't get any more on there." And all of a sudden, they started coming up with more and bigger drives and able to store larger amounts of data. I think this is going to happen in the blockchain. People are going to say, "Oh, they're done," and they're going to like Bitcoin is going to come up with some phenomenal protocol that's going to put them back in the game again.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the interesting part is this is all about tech investments.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like everyone talks about the internet bubble and the all that stuff. That's what this is. This is where people are at with technology and um, internet 3.0, just the everything. And that's why it gets kind of confusing when people talk about everything and internet 3.0 and the internet of the internet. So it's interesting. I'm glad that we're on this journey and at least trying to have and share information with everybody else to stay on the path. So I appreciate you doing that. Let's go to the next slide. So this is my slide that I put in here as kind of a promo. As in the United States, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And one of our content providers locally, she's actually a filmmaker from Kentucky, but she does a lot of work in Ohio and has a lot of great contacts with some of my Cuyahoga County content providers. And her name's A.B. McCorkle from Healing Hands Entertainment. And what we're doing with her is she has a film that she's desiring funding for, and we're working with her to acquire that funding to build a full feature, her full feature film, Letters to Daniel. And what we're doing is we're doing 3 screenings and a discussion for her last kind of I would call it an interview biography or interview editorial called All in the Family, and it's just an intimate look inside of the family struggling with the genetic nature of bipolar disorder. So we're going to be screening that on G1NBC Live on May 10th, May 17th, and May 24th, all at 7 p.m. She's going to join us. We're going to we're going to air the episode, and we're going to talk about bipolar disorder, mental health awareness, and also talking more about that full feature and that project and getting that off the ground.
Well, I'd like to participate in that because I do have people with challenges like that in my family. And, when you're on the inside looking out, it's much different than someone that's on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
They have challenges, and you know what? Just to run away and hide yourself away from these people isn't helping them.
That's absolutely right. And, there can be a lot of political commentary right now around what's happened with our country since our lack of funding for mental illness and trying to understand it and get in front of it and even do better. And Amy has a great story. I mean, she's turned her thing is going from breakdown to bestseller, and she's even for her other stuff, she's an award-winning screenwriter and writer in general, so she's got a great personality. So I'll definitely be sure to include you in that discussion. And the video is really good. It tells her story and another person in her family, and they do pretty compelling interviews with people involved like you said, how they have family members who struggle with that. So she brings those family members' perspectives into the discussion, and that's the whole
Yeah,
point, is
that's
talking
great.
about what they deal with.
I sympathize with that, and because I have a script that I've written about mental illness, and that movie, I'm just trying to put together some actors and other people to get involved in it. But it's 19 South, and it's about a schizophrenic person
Yeah.
and what they have to deal with from their perspective in order to live their daily lives.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll definitely look out for that one. So, as we're closing, we got a coin review to do.
Yeah, we're going to look at Syscoin again. We'd looked at this one last time, I think, but as you can see by the chart that you have several indicators showing a breakout. The green lines, of course, are the chart pattern, and we talked about that last time about patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And or the time before, I can't remember which one it was. And then, of course, the yellow step line is the parabolic SAR, or the stop and reverse line. And you can see all this is occurring. The red arrow down there, if you look at the red arrow, that is the MACD, or they call it the moving average convergence divergence.
Okay.
And you can see where the blue line, which is the speedy line, is raising up above the long line, which indicates a move. And then the last one, the yellow one at the bottom, is the unbalanced volume, showing an inflow of money into this particular coin. So you got 4 or 5 different indicators showing an upward potential on this one, and it did move.
Gotcha. All right. And when was this chart pick taken?
This was, I think, on Friday I did this one.
Okay. Cool. So you guys out there, check Syscoin today and see where we're at.
So there's, if you're using indicators, if you want to trade altcoins or Bitcoin, there's some good indicators there to help you make intelligent decisions.
What's the green arrow again?
I think that's where our show was, I think.
The old morning coins bump.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to head out of here for today. This is Morning Coins with John and Chaz. We want to do this every day, but we can't unless you send us Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. You can send us STEEM, too, and we'll do it. Yeah. No, but if you guys want to be a part of the Morning Coins community, or if you want to ever come on the show, let me know in the comments section, and we will bring you on. Our number's always here for our live shows. And if not, send us a like and a re-steam, or a like and a share on YouTube for the recorded version.
Please do, yeah. Please participate. We can get you guys on here, and you can talk and maybe straighten us out. Who knows?
That's right. Well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but they could at least learn us a couple things or two. And then on YouTube, we did get a couple of feedback saying it was a good show, and we got some likes and things like that. So I think generally it's going pretty good. DLive lost some of our stuff, so it's not showing up in their servers. I don't know what that is. I hope it's not because we're not talking about them the whole time that they're
something you
doing anything. I know, right? I hope not. But thanks DLive 24 Hour for promoting and your support with sending it out. And Sean, good luck at work. Congrats on the new gig. I hope it goes well. And we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.